I actually really love Trump. I think he's a deeply humane, kind person. And I am saying this because I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. I think we're going to see the end of American empire. Obviously, other nations would like to see that, and this is a perfect way to scuttle the USS America on the shoals of Iran. But it's also going to end, I believe, Trump's presidency and effectively end it. And so that's why I'm saying this.
All right, so let's get into that part. Israel's conflict with Iran is exposing the cracks within the MAGA base. As we've been discussing, Trump's loyalists have found themselves divided, including Tucker Carlson there. You just watched, Tucker said more about why he feels this way. But before we get to that, Cenk, that last statement that this involvement going deeper with Israel could end the Trump presidency, your thoughts?
Yeah, those are super strong words. And so, look, the libertarians have left the building. We're going to show you some of that in a second. They're done with Trump. And MAGA now still couching it in. I mean, we really love Trump and stuff, but his presidency is kind of over. Wait till you see Marjorie Taylor Greene. By the way, also Jack Posobiec, Steve Bannon, everyone, not everyone, but the great majority of MAGA and all of America first. Some part of MAGA is Israel first. All of America first is like, no to this war. No, this is nothing new with America. I don't want to pay for it. We've got a lot more examples for you guys.
Yeah, so first up, we'll get more of that conversation between Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon.
The second you get enmeshed in a real war, not a fake, let's go bomb the villagers and declare success. Though we don't even have a good track record. Like, why are the Houthis still there? I mean, there's a whole other question, which is how prepared is the US military for a real conflict? And the answer is totally unprepared, scary unprepared. I don't think people understand that. But anyway, the only reason I'm saying any of this is because I really, really care.
All right, so there's Tucker talking with Bannon. He also criticized Trump in a newsletter. Here's what he wrote: while the American military may not have physically perpetuated the assault, years of funding, sending weapons to Israel, which Donald Trump just bragged about on Truth Social, undeniably placed the US at the center of last night's event. Politicians purporting to be America first can't now credibly turn around and say they had nothing to do with it. Donald Trump snapped back during an interview with The Atlantic. Well, considering that I'm the one that developed America first, and considering that the term wasn't used until I came along, I think I'm the one that decides that. For those people who say they want peace, you can't have peace if Iran has a nuclear weapon. So for all of those wonderful people who don't want to do anything about Iran having a nuclear weapon, that's not peace. So then Tucker is back, this time on X. The real divide isn't between people who support Israel and people who support Iran or the Palestinians. The real divide is between those who casually encourage violence and those who seek to prevent it, between warmongers and peacemakers. Who are the warmongers? They would include anyone who's calling Donald Trump today to demand airstrikes and other direct US military involvement in a war with Iran. On that list, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Rupert Murdoch, Ike Perlmutter, Miriam Edelson. At some point, they will all have to answer for this, but you should know their names now. And podcaster and frequent Rogan guest Dave Smith chimed in, apologizing for backing Trump in 2024, going as far as calling for his impeachment and removal.
Donald Trump, listen, man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one, and not on some not on some ridiculous Nancy Pelosi. Of course, the Congress will never do it because they're all a bunch of corrupt hacks.
This is the one thing they support. This is like yeah.
Donald Trump should be impeached and removed for this. All of his supporters should turn on him. It's the absolute betrayal of everything that he ran and campaigned on and everything that he stood for. And I will say, despite the fact that, Donald Trump supporters have been labeled like a cult following, and that certainly is true for a percentage of his supporters, he is going to lose his coalition over this. I know I don't just speak for myself when I say there are a lot of us who simply will not go along with this.
Voices are growing louder, and larger number, it seems. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene agrees. She shared this post. Everyone is finding out who are real America First MAGA and who were fake and just said it because it was popular. Unfortunately, the list of fakes are becoming quite long and expose themselves quickly. Anyone slobbering for the US to become fully involved in the Israel-Iran war is not America First MAGA. Wishing for murder of innocent people is disgusting. We are sick and tired of foreign wars, all of them. And she had more to say. She went on to say, every country involved and all over the world can be happy, successful, and rich if we all work together and seek peace and prosperity. Taking this position is not anti-Semitic, it's rational, sane, loving toward all people. Taking this position of peace and prosperity for all is not isolationism. It leads to great trade deals, great economies that help all people. It's what many Americans voted for in 2024. America first, America first, America first. That is how we make America great again. So on Piers Morgan today, Cenk, you found common ground with Pasibiak. Let's watch that.
This is not America's war. This is a war that is confined to two parties in the Middle East. This is a war where the United States absolutely faces the threat of escalation. 10 years ago today, so 10 years ago today, Donald Trump comes down the golden escalator. And what did he say? No more foreign, endless wars. And instead, why don't we focus on the problems at home? He talked about, obviously, illegal aliens. He talked about deportations, but he said trillions of dollars spent in Iraq, trillions spent in Afghanistan. And what did it get for us? Nothing.
Look at me and Jack. Me and Jack don't agree on anything else, but we agree that we should serve America. I say Americans first, not Israelis. Stop the wars.
Let me say this.
Look at MAGA.
Okay, here's what I'll say.
Ben, speak, Cenk.
Taylor Greene, Steve Bannon, all saying stop the war.
All
We
right.
didn't ask for war.
Ben, let him.
Here's the
let
left
Ben
and the right
speak.
uniting, saying we don't want war.
All right, on the other side of MAGA, you have conservatives loudly backing support of regime change in Iran, like Ted Cruz, likely suspect, who said this during a Fox News interview with Maria.
Senator, do you want to see regime change? Do you think that happens soon? And what would the future look like in that regard?
Look, I think it is very much in the interest of America to see regime change. I don't think there's any redeeming the Ayatollah. He is filled with hatred.
Ted Cruz on Fox. And then there's Newt Gingrich posting this. Let's take a look. The replacement of the theocratic dictatorship in Iran with a secular government committed to peace with neighbors, prosperity for Iranians, and a non-nuclear future is the only outcome of the current Israeli-Iranian war that would be a success. Any outcome which leaves the mullahs and their dictatorship in charge guarantees continuing Iranian support for terrorism and a new, even more secret effort to get a nuclear weapon, a truce. Leaving the mullahs in charge guarantees more terrorism and a future war. Imagine the recent missiles in Tel Aviv if they had been nuclear, no truce with the mullahs. So there you have it. Newt Cenk alluding to this preemptive war. You got to replace the Ayatollah now. You have to have regime change or else things are just going to get worse. This is necessary for Israel to amp things up and for the United States to help.
Yeah, so you see the old guard versus the new guard there. So the old guard, Newt Gingrich, Ted Cruz, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, all, yeah, war is awesome. We have to serve Israel loyally. Remember, we're occupied, and so whatever Israel commands of us, we have to do. We have to do regime change in Iran. So no one's surprised by that. That was super obvious. They're all corrupt. They all get paid off by the special interests, the lobbyists, etc., to say those things, and that's been true in America for so long. So partly because of that, partly because of how MAGA stuck with Trump, no matter what he said in his first term, a lot of people on the left and in the middle thought these guys are immovable, right? But it turned, and I said they were. So I'm going to come back to that in a second. But let me actually finish off Gingrich and Ted Cruz for a second. I don't want you to lose track of some switcheroo that they're doing right now, and you saw it on those comments. When Israel first attacked Iran, They said, oh, we have to take out their nuclear facilities. They're gonna have nukes any day now. Then Netanyahu goes on Brett Baer's show on Fox News this weekend, and he says, just kidding, they wouldn't have a nuclear weapon for at least a year. Then why did you attack them now? And you didn't say that a minute ago. You said that they were about to have the weapons, right? And they said, well, they have ballistic missiles, but almost everyone has ballistic missiles. So should we attack everyone? So that was the original reason, but if you notice, both with Netanyahu and now his servants, Gingrich, Cruz, etc., they're all going, we need regime change. Wait, I thought you said it was take out the nukes and the weapons of mass destruction. Now all of a sudden, instantly change to, no, we have to stay and fight there until we change their entire government and presumably take over the country. And can Israel take over Iran? Of course not. No, there's only one country powerful enough to take out their nuclear facilities and do a regime change. That's America. So now that we're in the war, Israel sends all their dogs out to bark and yap, and Ted Cruz goes, regime change, regime change, Sean Hannity, regime change. Now, that's all normal. That's what normally happens. But now something unusual has happened. I said in the beginning of the Trump administration that his coalition would not hold, that they would break from him and they would oppose him at different times. I further said that it would be on Israel. And everyone said, you're nuts. They're never gonna break, they're a cult. They will all listen to what Trump said. They're not actually anti-war. And on Israel, are you kidding me? They will loyally serve Israel. Okay, you could hold on to your fantasies that they haven't broken. But there's Dave Smith saying he should be impeached, he voted for Trump. There's Tim Dillon we showed you earlier saying, we got no business Iran. This is not our war. We got everybody saying it. We've got Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene was on this show. They said, oh, you're crazy. She's not actually gonna oppose the war. There she is opposing the war. So look, guys, it isn't about told you. It's about how do we assess what is true and not true? How do we effectively fight back against things that we don't want? So there's a lot that we don't want where the right wing is opposed to us. So I don't want the National Guard and the Marines in the streets of LA or any other city. And I will fight them over that. And we will fight very tough and very aggressively, okay? But when they say they're anti-war and now all their media is saying they're anti-war, it doesn't even matter if they're lying, like the media guys, because they're telling their audiences 24/7, Trump is wrong, we shouldn't go into this war, we should not back Israel. So let's all wake up collectively together. By the way, how did I know when no one else knew? Because I did something crazy called talking to them, and even more importantly, listening to them. No, you can't listen to them. We have to be in our own tribes, and the other tribe is evil. They're evil, never listen to them. Well, since you weren't listening, you missed the fact that they're actually anti-war. And they're super tired of serving Israel. Not their politicians are in lockstep. By the way, a lot of our politicians are in lockstep with Israel, right? But their voters are absolutely sick of it. And the Israeli supporters are in the middle of making a huge mistake right now. They're starting to now do the same thing to them that they did to us. They're starting to call the right wing and the libertarians anti-Semites. Have at it, Hoss. Oh, you go ahead, but that one trick pony's already dead, okay? And you're gonna flog that dead pony, and then you're gonna call all of America anti-Semites because we won't follow Israel's orders. You're gonna find out soon that that is a very, very poor strategy. If you thought that was a bad strategy to try with the left, wait till you try it with the right and see how that turns out for you. Okay, so let's review. They won't turn on them, they did. They won't fight each other, they're at each other's throats. You see that Tucker Carlson comment about Sean Hannity and Murdoch and calling out all those names, okay? The coalition won't split, it's split already. I mean, you heard Dave Smith there, and there's a lot more where that came from. Marjorie Taylor Greene won't actually be against the war, she's actually against the war. So there's now a rebellion, and the rebellion is joined. So before it was the left that was anti-war, now libertarians are firmly anti-war. They have joined the rebellion, no question about it. Now MAGA, half of MAGA is saying, yeah, no. I don't even care what Donald Trump says. No means no. We said no war. This is definitely a war. We don't need to get dragged into it. It doesn't need to be for regime change. It doesn't need to be to take out their nuclear facilities. It doesn't need to be for anything. Maybe we should try America first instead of Israel first. But I also want to mention Dave Smith, probably the leading libertarian in the country who flipped on Trump today. He's going to be on the Young Turks tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern. So don't miss that. It's going to be an amazing interview.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.